Unlock your dream property with Meeks Realty Group, where Rich the Realtor makes real estate dreams a reality. Whether it's residential or commercial, we've got Charleston to Huntington covered. Your key to exceptional real estate experiences start here. Meeks Realty Group. Contact us at meeks.us.
The views and opinions expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of 580 WCHS, its employees, or WVRC Media. From the studios of WVRC Media, the country, the United States of America, the state, West Virginia, the city, Charleston. This is the Dave Allen Show on 580 Live. And your host.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
He's kind of a big deal.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Dave Allen.
And a good Tuesday morning to you. Welcome to the show. Ryan Nicholson is our producer today. Bigly, Piggly, Wiggly, hotline 304-345-5858. Ruth Pharmacy text 304-935-5008. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live is brought to you by Thornhill Auto Group, including the all-new Thornhill CDJR and the Thornhill Motor Mile. Experience the power of the 2024 Ram 1500 with up to $4,500 in retail consumer cash on select Bighorn models. Must qualify through Chrysler Capital. See Thornhill for all details. Visit thornhillcdjr.com or in person on US 119 in Logan today. We do the show for the Par-Mar Store studio. If there's not a Par-Mar store near you now, there will be soon. Par-Mar invites you to the state softball tournament being played later this week. Little Creek Park in South Charleston. Of course, you can watch all the games on the all-new Metro News TV app. Par-Mar, the official store of the West Virginia SSAC and of high school sports in West Virginia. If there's not a Par-Mar store near you now, there will be soon. I think I'm on the road to recovery from this cold or allergies or whatever it's been. I'll try to get through the show today without nearly choking to death like I almost did yesterday. Thank goodness I had Stephen Allen Adams here to get me through it yesterday. On today's show, the Republican nominee for Secretary of State. He got through a tough primary against Doug Scaff, Brian Wood, and Ken Reed. Now he does have opposition on the Democratic side. Talking about Kris Warner, he'll be stopping by. Brad McElhinny is also here. We dropped something on this show a couple of weeks ago about a mere rumor that several Democrats and Republicans were looking to enlist perhaps Senator Joe Manchin to run for governor of West Virginia. Not exactly how that would happen if it does, but this thing really took legs yesterday. We're going to talk to Brad about that. Plus, we have interims going on. I think they're going to gavel in one body at 11 and one at 12 today, I think, or maybe it's 12 and 1. Anyway, Brad will get to that a little bit later on. And within the last hour, news broke that really no surprise here that former President Trump has now endorsed Patrick Morrisey for the governorship in West Virginia. Again, no surprise there. We're going to talk to Brad about several of those things. If I have an opportunity, I do want to give you an update on Doug Scaff, Secretary of State candidate from a legislature who was snake bitten, literally, last week. I don't mean to laugh about it, but I talked to Doug yesterday, and he's still in the hospital. He's still got a long road to recovery. I'm going to give you an update on his condition. Plus, the investigation continues into this the shooting that took place Sunday afternoon at Shawnee Park, or actually not at Shawnee Park. It was actually a couple of blocks away on Smoot Avenue in Dunbar. A lot of questions are coming out of that, including why is it that so many of the, you don't really want to call them escape routes, but let's just say the entryways or exit ways, how many of them were locked, and we're going to get into that a little bit later on. County Commissioner Ben Salango is actually going to join us to address that coming up a little bit later on. So we got lots to do. I want to welcome into the show, though, Debra Rusnak. Commissioner Rusnak just survived a tough primary race for prosecuting attorney in Kanawha County, and she joins us now. Deb, good morning, and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Dave. Thanks for having me.
So I guess the primary part of it's over now.
It
right?
is.
All
it
right.
is.
I want to talk about the campaign because it was contentious, to say the least.
Certainly. Yes, it was. But, it was a hard-fought battle. I will congratulate my opponent for her efforts. But I'm ready to move forward. I am thankful that the voters chose me, and I'm ready to continue to run a good, positive campaign and continue to be a good representative for the Kanawha County Prosecutor's Office. Is there, and again, I know that you're kind of taking the high road here, and I applaud you for that, but is there anything that you want to say about the race in general? I kept my campaign positive, and I relied on my experience and my record as a tough public servant. So I don't think I need to change that now. I think I need to continue to move forward, continue to take the high road, and continue to be the candidate that Kanawha County wants.
You know, it can be kind of confusing because with these judicial races, a lot of them were over in the primary. That was it. But the prosecuting attorney is a little bit different because you do have opposition now. You're not done. I mean, you're done with the primary, but you're going to have opposition when the voters head to the polls in November.
That's true. It is a partisan race. While I believe that the job of the prosecutor is not something that necessarily is a partisan position, simply because one thing we never know about a defendant or a suspect in a crime is what their political affiliation is. That's just something that doesn't matter. It doesn't affect how we do our job at the prosecutor's office. But unfortunately, it is a partisan race, and so I will be up against the Democratic nominee come November.
And that gentleman's name is John Mitchell, and we'll be hearing that name a lot, and I'll have him on the show, and you several times, between now and the election in November. So what's the rest of the summer look like for you? I mean, because, like I said, with a lot of the more judicial type situations, they're done. But you still got a campaign to run, so you got through this tough primary. What does the rest of it look like now?
So I've been doing this for about 11 months now. So I did this last summer. I'm going to basically do the same thing this summer. Get out there, get myself into areas where I am able to speak to large numbers of people in Kanawha County, door knocking, parades, events that I can attend to meet people. And just continue to get my name out there, continue to tell people what my mission is and what I would like to see happen at the prosecutor's office.
And you talked about a lot of this when we had you on prior to the race, Deb, but maybe if people didn't listen, what is your message? What is it that you want to get done now that you've got to the primary, and now what is your message to voters as we head into the general election in November?
Again, I am at the prosecutor's office now. I have the ability to be able to see what's happening in the office, where the changes need to be made, and how to continue to move the office forward. And frankly, how to handle cases and be transparent with the public so that people understand not only what we are doing with cases, but why we're doing it. I think that's a huge aspect of this job that people don't necessarily see, is being able to explain to the public why we do things, how we do things, and how the prosecutor's office can continue to move forward with cases that are, frankly, sometimes difficult.
As you were out and again, we're talking with Debra Rusnak, who won the Republican primary last week for prosecuting attorney. She'll now move on to the general election. She will have a Democratic opponent in the fall. As you were out, Deb, on the campaign trail, what did you hear from the public? What did people come up to you and say, hey, this is my issue with the prosecutor's office, or these are things that I think need to be, because again, just like as I've said this on the show before, just like with any other judicial race, whether it's prosecuting attorney, magistrate, or whatever, family court, doesn't matter. Unless you've been there, unless you've experienced it or had dealings with it, you may not even think about it. But what did you hear from the public out there at these forums, or when you were door knocking, or whatever? But what did the public tell you that they wanted to see from the prosecutor's office?
The public is frustrated that we are continuing to allow people to be out on bond and commit crime while they're on bond. And frankly, it's not something that we allow, but it does happen. Certain misdemeanor cases, there's a limit on the amount of bond that we can set. And a lot of people don't know that. They don't understand that, we have guidelines that we have to follow. And so they really push for our office to revoke bonds on people who commit crime while they are already on a bond. That's a huge thing that I hear. They want violent offenders off of the streets. Members of the public do not want to walk around the streets with people who are likely to harm them. And so that's a huge thing that was stressed to me throughout the campaign. And, I'm really surprised at the number of people who don't understand how the judicial system works and don't know that it's open to the public. I invite members of the public, come to the courthouse, see what we do. And I think members of the public would be very impressed with some of the work that goes on in that courthouse. It's really astounding.
Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you part by General Hardware of Winfield and Milton and General Lumber of Winfield. If you're planning a project this spring, please remember to shop locally. Stop by any location for details. Visit generalhardwarewv.com. Deb, I'll give you the final words for the people of Kanawha Valley, of Kanawha County, who voted for you, maybe even for the ones that didn't vote for you. What your final message to the people of Kanawha County?
I am thankful for the voters, those that did vote for me and those that didn't. I will work just as hard for those that didn't as I will for the ones that did. I've been blessed to have a tremendous amount of support and an amazing group of people behind me helping me out. I can't tell them enough how thankful I am. And I'm certainly thankful as we enter the general election in November, as we move forward toward the general election in November. I'm thankful to have bipartisan support. And I think that coming together and being able to move this county forward, it's important to have that support from both parties.
All right, Deb, we wish you the best of luck. We'll be talking to you, I'm sure, for several times over the summer and into the fall. Thanks a lot for being here.
Thank you for having me.
9:18, Special Olympics embodies the true spirit of sportsmanship, not merely about winning medals. It's about being a part of a team, practicing and competing together. The joy and fulfillment derived from these experiences are immeasurable as athletes find the confidence and self-worth through the shared pursuit of victory. West Virginia, enriched in collaboration with Huntington, invites you to witness the transformative power of Special Olympics. See a video highlighting the Special Olympics at facebook.com/580WCHS. Biggly Piggly Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Fruit Pharmacy text 304-935-5008. Going to take a break. When we come back, Kris Warner. He got through the process on the Republican side for Secretary of State. He will move on to the general election. We'll talk to Kris Warner back after this, on the Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
Brought to you by the Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses. Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses have been creating jobs in West Virginia since 1997.
Hi, I'm David McCormick, owner of Omega Commercial Interiors. Did you know that most office furniture originates in China and Mexico? Omega Commercial Interiors sells products made in America for businesses made in America. If you're in the market for quality office furniture, remember, buy local and call Omega Commercial Interiors in Morgantown and Charleston. We're a proud West Virginia company.
Welcome to Poca Valley, where we've been in business since 1908. Today, we serve Roane, Kanawha, Putnam, and surrounding counties. We believe you deserve banking that provides friendly customer service. For all of your financial needs, stop by one of our 8 convenient locations. Call us at 844-782-2651 or visit us online at PocaValleyBank.com. Poca Valley, where relationships matter.
Member FDIC.
Attention all adventurers, it's the season. Hey, it's Sydney inviting you to get ready to blaze your trail with the all-new Thornhill CDJR on the Thornhill Motor Mile. It's Jeep 4x4 season, and we're offering an amazing $2,000 savings on the new 2024 Jeep Gladiator models. Don't miss your chance to experience the ultimate off-road thrill. Head over to Thornhill CDJR or make tracks to US 119 in Logan today. Take the wheel and discover why Thornhill CDJR is your premier destination for Jeep excitement on the road to total savings. Since qualified through Chrysler Capital, see Thornhill for all details.
9:20 Tuesday morning. It is Tuesday. Yeah, it's Tuesday morning. Biggly Piggly Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Fruit Pharmacy text 304-935-5008. Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you in part by Morgan & Morgan. If you're injured, hire Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. I got to pass this note along to you from my buddy Jim Workman, frequent guest on the show and the publisher of Wally and Wimpy's, West Virginia's premier sports publication. Jim's texted me yesterday. He's a Tays Valley guy, as am I, and said we need to have some sort of contest to either reward those candidates who got all their signs taken down or publicly shame those who don't. He was talking about the number of them that are still up in Putnam County, some winners, some losers. Either way, get your signs down. Now, Doug Scaff had an excuse. He got bit by snakes. The rest of you don't, so get your signs down. Let's welcome into the show now Republican nominee for Secretary of State, Kris Warner. Kris, good morning and congratulations. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Dave. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. It was a tough fight. I mean, this Secretary of State's race, that's one of the, and there's no such thing as an unimportant office under the Capitol Dome, but it's one that sometimes in some elections past maybe didn't get all the attention. But this one certainly did. This one and the AG's race both were pretty contentious races.
Yeah, those were hard-fought races. And by the way, I've got to tell you, I heard that Doug Scaff is still in the hospital. My prayers go out to him and his family. I know his kids got to be missing him if he's still in the hospital. And, you know, these races run you down physically, and that couldn't help to have been run down before, you know, receiving the snake bite. So I know he's in for a long recovery, and our prayers are with him.
Let's talk about the battle. I mean, between you had yourself and you had Mr. Scaff and you had Brian Wood and you had Ken Reed. What was it about the Chris Warner message that seemed to resonate with voters, you think?
You know, I think, you know, how you get that message out is difficult. In most races, that comes down to how many dollars you're able to raise from how many contributors. But, you know, we had, 35 years of working within the Republican Party, and this was a Republican Party nomination. So we had lots of friends out there that were sharing messages on Facebook and that sort of thing. So it's helpful to have that kind of support across all 55 counties. And I think in the end that it came down to friends sharing messages with friends and communicating the message, our conservative message about continuing the work that Secretary of State Mac Warner and his staff and all 55 county clerks have started.
I want to talk about your brother, Mac. Full disclosure, my former boss. He was concentrating on his own race as he came up short in that battle for the Republican nomination for governor. Did you talk to Mac on election night?
I did. I saw Mac on election night. He was along, I think, 16 months. Mm-hmm. He gave it everything he had, and it didn't turn out. I know that he called and spoke with Patrick Morrissey and congratulated him. I know they've talked a couple of times since then. And it's all behind Patrick Morrissey at this point to make sure that he wins that race in November.
As it pertains to the Secretary of State's office, now, of course, Mac will remain Secretary of State until January of next year, whether it's yourself or your Democratic opponent is sworn in January of next year. So Mac Warner remains Secretary of State. What has his advice been to you about the office, or have you even gotten there yet? You know,
Mac suggested that I speak with those working in the office. So the Deputy Secretaries of State, the staff workers, the people down at the one-stop shop. We have not had much time at all to talk from, if I'm elected in November, and I intend to be elected in November. But I'm sure in the next couple of months, we'll be able to have more time to speak. But he's opened the door to speak with staff workers, and they have been very helpful, very organized. I'm extremely impressed with the Secretary of State's office staff and the way they work with the county clerks.
And again, I've said it on this show many, many times before. And again, we're talking with Chris Warner, who's the Republican nominee for Secretary of State. I've said this because I have experience having worked there. People don't realize everything that the Secretary of State's office does. I mean, everybody in every facet of life, on your daily existence, you somehow encounter something that has to do with the Secretary of State's office, whether it's business or whether it's a charity or whatever.
One of the things that you say they're responsible for, and we all know the chief election officer and those duties, but it was just pointed out to me this morning by one of the staff members in the Secretary of State's office that there were 8,914 ballot styles in this election. So you look at 100 House districts and 17 state Senate districts and circuit court races and magistrate races. You look at all the different races, some city races added in there, and when you realize that every precinct is different with various names on that ballot, you just realize how much work the county clerks are responsible for, and then ultimately the Secretary of State's office. For pulling it all together. We're in the middle of canvassing right now, and if everything goes well and there's no challenges to any of these races, you might have this election certified by the end of the week, if not early next week. And then to realize on top of that, there are only 6 workers dedicated from the Secretary of State's office on elections. The other 2/3 of that office is focused on business registrations. There is an awful lot for that office and staff to stay on top of every single day, because the maintenance, voter maintenance of the voter list. People are going to die every day. There are going to be people that move out of state. There are going to be people convicted of felonies. There's just an awful lot of work for them to stay on top of.
And, of course, as I said, with that office, if you're a notary, it goes to the Secretary of State's office. If you have an HOA, it goes to the Secretary of State's office. Your charitable organization of a certain size goes to the Secretary of State's office. That's quite a lot of responsibility, Kris.
Yeah, somewhat of a collection of a number of loose ends, including communications for the governor's office when legislation's passed.
And nothing is officially a bill. When the governor signs a bill, it's all ceremonial. Until it goes to the office of Secretary of State, it's all pictures at that point.
That's absolutely correct.
Talking with Kris Warner again. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you in part by your hometown baseball team, the Charleston Dirty Birds. At last, the Dirty Birds have a home game. They're back at Go-Mart Ballpark tonight to take on the Flying Boxcars of Hagerstown. 6:35, first pitch tonight. It's $2 Tuesday, presented by Embassy Suites and Breeze Airways. $2 game tickets, $2 hot dogs, $2 sodas, and $2 popcorn. Schedules, Dirty Birds gear, promotions, and more. Visit dirtybirdsbaseball.com. All right, so it's not over yet. You do have opposition in the general in the form of Thornton Cooper, who's going to be the Democratic nominee. What makes Kris Warner the better candidate?
I think I'm more in line, quite frankly, Dave, with most of the West Virginia voters and citizens, just by my conservative nature. I think this will be a classic lineup of a very liberal Democrat candidate in November and a very conservative candidate in me as the Republican nominee. I urge folks to educate yourself on everything you can via the internet about each of the candidates and making an informed decision come the November general election.
One of the things before we close, I want to get, and you mentioned the word voter maintenance there and the voter rolls. One of the things that Mac Warner did as Secretary of State, I don't know what the current total was, and you probably do. How many names were taken off?
440,000 names in the last 7 years. 440,000
names were taken off the voter rolls in the last 7 years, and again, that sounds like a lot, but there's a variety of reasons for that. It's people that haven't voted in federal elections. It's people that have moved out of state and have not notified their county clerk that they moved to Charlotte and they didn't think to notify their county clerk to say, take me off the voter rolls. So I'm sure that you want to continue that because it's a big expense to the taxpayers to have these people on the voter rolls that aren't actually legal voters.
That, and it comes down to voter confidence, Dave. People need to be able to know when they hear what percentage of the voters turned out to vote that those numbers are accurate. They can't be bloated by 440,000 names. But, one thing I know that Mac is very proud of is, as well as your friend and my friend Lee Dean, is registering new high school voters in West Virginia. And I think there have been over 200,000 high school seniors that have been registered to vote. So at the same time, you're removing names that aren't eligible. They're making sure that they're eligible voters being added to those lists as well.
All right. Kris, I appreciate you being here. Thanks a lot. Any final words? I know this is the time, the week after the election, I like to have candidates on to exhale a little bit and maybe just to thank people.
No, and I want to thank the more than 8,000 poll workers in West Virginia that voted and worked in this election, and thank the 55 county clerks for the excellent work they did. 10:30 on election night here in Kanawha County, the office was shutting down at voter registration, and the TV cameras were headed home. So they did an excellent job all across the state in administering this election.
Yeah, and it was because I was here. I was working with Chris Lawrence, and I were doing election coverage here locally on WCHS, and I presumed it'd be a 12:30 night before I got out of here because we were covering Kanawha County. And as you said, we could have probably Chris and Carrie stayed all night.
Oh, I'm sure.
But because they have to get things out to the network and everything. But I thought I was going to be here till 12 or 12:30 because of Kanawha County, and that's just because it is the state's largest county. It's not a slam on Vera McCormick or anything. They do a great job, but it is the largest county in the state, and sometimes it's kind of it's a very diverse county and whatever. But we were pretty much wrapped up, as you said, by 10:30 or so.
Yeah, I got a shout out to Vera McCormick, the county clerk in Kanawha County. I went in to vote early, was in and out in less than 10 minutes. It was very easy. And they do an excellent job and are the model for the rest of the state.
All right. Secretary of State nominee on the Republican side, Kris Horner, congratulations. And now you get ready for the battle against your Democratic opponent, Thornton Cooper. I appreciate you being here, man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Dave.
It is 28 minutes away from 10, the Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you in part by Fresh Air. They'll change those heating and cooling unit air filters for your home, your retail establishment, industrial business, restaurant, church, and they can custom build filters for you. 24-hour emergency services available. Visit freshairfilters.us or call 304-440-1104 for Fresh Air, because everyone deserves fresh air. Everybody deserves a little Brad McElhinny, too. We're going to talk to Brad coming up after this on the Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
Brought to you by the Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses. Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses are small businesses with big impact, including Generations Physical Therapy and Snap Fitness.
Are you changing jobs or gearing up for retirement? Don't navigate your financial journey alone. At 4th Avenue Financial, we specialize in guiding individuals through life's transitions. From optimizing your retirement savings to managing your investments, we're here to provide expert advice every step of the way. Schedule your free consultation with John Burdett and take control of your financial future today. 4thavenuefinancial.com.
Securities offered through Jenny B. Cole Financial Incorporated. Member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered through Jenny B. Cole Advisors Incorporated.
Looking to replace your car with a reliable and stylish ride without breaking the bank? Walker Chevrolet and Nitro is stacked with pre-owned inventory, and they have the car, truck, or SUV that you've been waiting for. So what are you waiting for? Not only is the selection plentiful at Walker right now, but you know that Gene and Ryan built their business the old-fashioned way by making friends. There are no gimmicks or games at Walker, just honest, fair deals. And don't forget that Walker is still buying cars too. That's right, all makes and models are welcome at Walker, and they'll give you top dollar for it, even if you plan to buy somewhere else. So get to Walker Chevrolet today and take advantage of all of this inventory. Cars, trucks, and SUVs, they're all here, and they're waiting to go home with you today. At Walker Chevrolet, in the shadow of the Interstate Bridge, just off the Nitro exit of I-64. Walker Chevrolet, making friends one deal at a time.
Sundays on 580 WCHS are a blend of inspiration, sports fervor, and intriguing tales. Kickoff is Let's Talk with Carl Lee, where athletics meets achievement in compelling conversations. Then dive into the Sunday Sports Line for the latest on local and WVU sports action. Hotline Weekend keeps you connected with the pulse of pop culture, followed by Animals Today. Cap off your evening with Weird Darkness, where eerie stories await. Only on 580 WCHS.
25 minutes away from 10. Ryan Nicholson is our producer today. Bigly, Piggly, Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Fruit Pharmacy text 304-935-5008. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you in part by Pinnacle Consultants, the only accredited commercial lab in West Virginia for asbestos and mold. Asbestos banned in some building products, but not banned for all products in the U.S. Do not expose your family or workers to asbestos, mold, or lead paint. Get with Pinnacle Consultants. They offer real estate environmental assessments for hazardous materials and air quality. Visit pinnaclecorp.net, because what you don't know can hurt you. Text says, shout out to Nitro Mayor Dave Casebolt for picking up the election signs in the Kanawha County and Putnam County areas of Nitro, says a texter. Going back to Debra Rusnak, text says, Deb relied on her experience and hundreds of thousands of dollars in support for her campaign from trial lawyers, according to a texter. Texter says, can we please get Deb to remove her campaign signs, according to a texter. I've had some people ask me for an update on the condition of Doug Scaff following his battle with snakes last week in Boone County. I actually talked to Doug yesterday. Going to try to have him on the show maybe on Friday. He tells me his right leg is pretty much back to normal. The left leg, though, which is the one that suffered the 3 snake bites, the left leg is the problem. He still can't put any pressure on it. And he says he can barely move his toes or feel them, for that matter. In other words, he still has a long way to go and is still in the hospital as of this morning. Probably will be there for a while. We do wish him the best. You know, politics aside, Scaff is a pretty likable guy. I've been friends with him for a number of years, and we are all praying for a speedy recovery, as was one of his opponents, Chris Warner, who just said that earlier, in case you may have missed that. Dave Wilson in for Hoppy all this week on Talkline. Delegate Amy Summers is on today to discuss the IDD waiver funding, plus Greg Thomas on the Joe Manchin story, and a fascinating story, especially to broadcasting geeks like me and Wilson. The name Dave Nitz, that's N-I-T-Z, may not mean anything to you, but to broadcasting nerds like Northern Dave and me, it does. He's a guy originally from Barbersville who got his start in broadcasting at one of our stations, WJLS in Beckley. He's been the voice of Louisiana Tech and is retiring this weekend after 50 years in the radio business. Now, I'm at year 36 myself right now. I hope to reach 50. Dave Nitz is a legend, and Dave Wilson, Northern Dave, have him on the show today. Coming up on this show tomorrow, Greg Thomas is also here tomorrow. Plus, the Run for the Wall is tomorrow night in Nitro. We'll get an update from one of the riders who's actually going to be on the road at that time. And Rich Lindsay, former legislator Rich Lindsay, he was a winner in the election last week on the judicial side of things. He'll be joining us tomorrow as well. Biggly Piggly Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Ruth Pharmacy text 304-935-5500. Let's bring in Brad McElhinny, Metro News statewide correspondent. Brad, are you posted up at the Capitol this morning, bud?
I don't want to brag, but I've got an hour and a half of radio to do this morning. So
well, that's what I told. That's what I told my producer Ryan. I said, we're going to try to get Brad on this morning, but he was doing like 7 other radio interviews this morning. Man, you're a popular guy.
I have cooled my heels on my own couch for a few minutes to call into shows around the state. And I am not sure I am so popular. I mean, there is a special session going on, but there is also a radio-friendly topic involving Senator Manchin, and I think that may be part of the allure of bringing me on some shows.
Well, yeah, you're right about that. Before I do get to that, I do want to mention that if news broke within the last hour, so really no surprise here, and I'm not trying to, gloss over it, but it's really no surprise that former President Trump has endorsed Patrick Morrisey in the race for governor. Really no surprise there.
I was surprised by the timing.
Oh, okay, I'll give you that, yeah.
I mean, I read into the timing, actually. The primary election was just last week. Trump did not endorse, among those candidates, did endorse Governor Justice for Senate, but did not endorse Patrick Morrisey prior to the primary ending, did not endorse Moore Capito at the time, did not endorse Chris Miller or Mac Warner. Morrisey came out of that with 33% of the vote. He has been making pleas and pitches and emphasizing uniting Republicans behind his candidacy now. And, a common thread through Republican campaigns in West Virginia, this will shock you, is alignment with President Trump.
What?
Yes. And so I found the timing very interesting that this morning, former President Trump on Truth Social, his own social media platform, tells everybody in West Virginia to unite behind Patrick Morrisey. That Patrick Morrisey has my complete and total endorsement in all caps. He will not let you down.
He will not.
Maybe even more interesting to me was one of the other lines, not all in caps. Trump said, "Now is the time for all Republicans to unite behind Patrick Morrisey to ensure he has a tremendous capital V victory in November." So now is the time for all of us to unite.
So how much of this do you think, Brad, with this timing, that's probably something I hadn't thought about till you brought it up, the timing of this whole thing. How much of this do you think is in response to, something I brought up on the show 2 to 3 weeks ago about this rumor about Manchin getting in, and it really took legs big time over the weekend and into yesterday. The story's now gone nationwide that former governor, current U.S. Senator Joe Manchin, is being recruited to somehow get involved in the race for governor, being recruited by Democrats and Republicans. How much is that just coincidence with this endorsement from Trump? What do you think?
Well, I will admit to you, I don't know, but that was another reason I thought, very interesting timing. So Metro News went ahead with a more traditional news story yesterday about sources close to Manchin saying that Republicans had reached out to gauge his interest in running against Morrisey, indicating from the Republican side, some dissatisfaction with Morrissey as the Republican nominee. Within a couple of hours, I had received a statement from the state Republican Party chairman indicating support for Morrissey. The National Republican Governors Association got me on my cell phone and sent me a statement expressing their support for Morrissey. And then overnight, President Trump comes in on Truth Social with an endorsement of Morrissey, the highest profile endorsement that a Republican candidate in a very Trumpy state could expect to get. So I don't know what is behind the scenes at work, but it seemed a little early to me, 1 week out from the primary election, headed into November's general election for that kind of endorsement. But I think it's all part of an effort by Morrissey and his supporters to try to generate as much unity in the party as they possibly can.
Well, I got a couple texts here that are related to what we're talking about. Then I want to talk to you about your discussion with Steve Williams, who is the Democratic nominee for governor in West Virginia. I do want to remind you, phone calls to the Dave Allen Show on 580 Live are a service of Biggly Piggly Wiggly on Spring Street, and texting services provided by Fruth Pharmacy, your hometown family pharmacy. One of the texts says, this Manchin return rumor is chicanery by the GOP. They're sowing uncertainty and discord among their opponents, says the texter. Your response to that?
Oh man, I don't know. It's messy everywhere. It's if it is true that there is a significant Republican outreach for Manchin of all people to get in opposition to Morrissey, well, that is not a good look for the AG. And he did get the 33% that Morrissey got means that my math is not that great, but 67% voted for somebody else, and it was brutal. But it does put Steve Williams, the Democratic nominee, in an awkward position too. It seems to me.
Yeah.
Where he's
over,
getting
Williams is over here like pointing at himself, going, "Hey, I'm still here.
Hey,
I'm still here." And you talked to him yesterday, and he said there's no way he's stepping aside.
No way he's stepping aside. He does not believe that Manchin would be interested in pushing him aside to become the Democratic nominee.
Mm-hmm.
He says they've known each other for 4 decades. That Manchin gave to him in the primary, and he anticipates support, including financial, from Manchin going into the general. And Williams, who was at the Capitol yesterday, says he's here to run and run hard. So it puts him in an awkward spot. But on the other hand, we're saying his name, which at this point, if you're trying to generate statewide name recognition,
mm-hmm.
that aspect of it is good for you.
Let me knock out a couple texts here related to this situation. One text says, Brad, the reason Trump endorsed Morrissey today is because the Morrissey camp is shaking in their boots at the thought they may face Joe Manchin. They asked Trump for the endorsement because they're very afraid. Your thoughts?
Well, I think they would have asked Trump for an endorsement anyway.
Yeah, but would it have been this soon?
I would not have been surprised that it was expedited.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Next day mail, please. So I will say that my impression when Metro News got a couple of people close to Manchin to describe the outreach that they are seeing, and then I took the gist of that to Morrissey's campaign yesterday, reached out to those guys, and my impression was that they were all hands on deck in responding, that they actually took at least the story quite seriously, and it was no coincidence that I quickly got a response from the state Republican Party chairman, the National Republican Governors Association, and whether the Trump endorsement overnight was directly related or not, I do not know. Can't make that claim on any solid ground, but again, the timing was interesting.
Let me just say this, too. I was watching one of the broadcast stations here in Charleston, and they like you, they had also caught up with Steve Williams yesterday. And they were kind of, and this is not a knock against them, but they were just kind of saying, well, it's not going to happen because Steve Williams said it's not going to happen. Well, whom we've not heard from here, Brad, is Joe Manchin. Now, I mean, it's 9:46 on Tuesday morning. By the time that I turn off the microphone, we could have a statement from Manchin saying that there is absolutely no truth to this. He hasn't done anything like that, Brad.
You know, he did get approached. He's in Washington right now doing his job with the U.S. Senate. And he got approached by national reporters yesterday evening, several of them, Politico, Axios, others, who asked him about the situation. And he's being in Washington gives him a certain degree of insulation. And he said, well, I don't really know about these rumors. I don't know what's going on. So a denial about knowledge of the Republican outreach. But these national reporters went on to press Manchin about, well, are you interested or not? And the impression that these national reporters gave was that he did not commit one way or another to considering at this point running for governor or not. Who among us has not witnessed the process of Joe Manchin making a political decision? And you know, there are phases. And, you know, he, in several instances, deciding whether to run for governor against Jim Justice in 2020, deciding to run for re-election to his own Senate seat last year, deciding whether to run third party for president almost all of last year. I mean, there's a phase of waffling, a phase of out-and-out decision-making, but sometimes it manifests as public fretting, and then sometimes he backs off, usually, of what he has been considering doing. So that could be the case here, but it's interesting scuttlebutt in the meantime. Interesting for all of us, including the national folks, to wonder what is going through Joe Manchin's head.
All right. Well, before I let you go, I actually did want you to talk about what's going on in the Capitol Dome. So, if you got 30 seconds, there is that. So, what's going on over there?
So, the governor put forth 15 items for the special session agenda. It began Sunday evening. 13 of those have been passed. The final hang-up going into day 3 of the special session is the appropriate level of human services funding, in particular support for families who rely on financial support for intellectual and developmental disabilities for their loved ones, bringing paid staff in to help with that support. Everybody wants to make sure that program has enough money so that those families get the support they need, but there are remaining questions between the House and the Senate about how to properly apply oversight to how that money is spent. And that disagreement has put that particular piece of legislation into an uncertain position going into day 3 of the special session.
All right, Brad, I know you're on top of it, and we'll be following you online and on the air, too. I appreciate you being here. In the words of John Lennon, strange days indeed, most peculiar mama roll. How's that for a reference?
Boy, I can't beat that.
All right, Brad, we'll talk soon, man. Thanks a lot. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you part by Live Healthy West Virginia, presented by WVU Medicine. Live Healthy tackles pressing health issues, heart disease, diabetes, and more. It's a podcast offering insights into medical breakthroughs and preventative care, featuring WVU Medicine's expert physicians aimed at fostering healthier lifestyles in and beyond the state. Valuable resource for all. Discover the latest episodes on WVMetroNews.com under the podcast menu and start your journey towards better health today. Text says, insider info here, Dave. Oh, I love that. David McKinley is working with Shelley Moore Capito on the Manchin recruitment. They're applying a lot of pressure. Texter says, if Donald Trump gave West Virginia Republicans a plate of grass and told them it was a steak, West Virginia Republicans would say how great the steak is. Text says, Dear Dave, did you catch Brad's sarcasm just now? Dave, I'm doing an hour and a half of radio more than you. Shots fired. I don't think that's what that meant. Texas Dave, the rumors of the attempts of recruiting Manchin to run against Morrissey tells a lot. That says the Democrats do not believe they can beat a Trump-backed candidate. And they have no enthusiasm in Williams as their candidate. Fear is the strongest motivator in the world. That's why the left constantly invokes it in every phase of life. Back after this on The Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
Are you a physical therapy assistant and looking for an opportunity in orthopedics, wellness, and athletic care? If so, Generations Physical Therapy is offering flexible work hours and an upbeat atmosphere. With 7 convenient locations, Generations may have a job designed for you. Visit generationspt.com.
Biggly Piggly Wiggly on Spring Street has served 3 generations of shoppers since 1955 as the largest locally owned independent grocery store in the area. The Joseph family owners grew up here, so you know they're invested in the community. They provide the biggest variety of choice meats, the freshest produce, an in-house deli bakery, great wine selection, and more of your favorite brands. Every purchase gives you gasoline points so you can save at our pumps. Order online for pickup at BigglyPigglyWiggly.com. Biggly Piggly Wiggly on Spring Street. No one beats the pig.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential. But finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Hey, it's Dave Allen for Parmar Stores. And now that the warm weather months are here, you know where you need to be, your local Parmar store. Heading to the lake, the ball field, or your favorite picnic site, or just working around your place, Parmar has everything you'll need, from gas to grocery, snacks, and much, much more. Download the Parmar app and sign up for the Parmar Rewards Card. Ohio, West Virginia, Kentucky, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Virginia. If there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be soon.
The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you by Bridge Valley. If you're interested in improving your company's IT workforce, you will know Bridge Valley offers custom-tailored IT training to bridge the skills gap. Visit bridgevalley.edu for more information. Let's go back to Sunday. Beautiful day, Shawnee Park, lots of soccer. Other sports being played around 3 when shots rang out on Smoot Avenue, a couple blocks away, as you may imagine. Panic ensued, no one injured. 3 men were taken into custody. The shootings were not aimed at the kids or fans or anyone there. Again, 2 blocks away, but understandably, parents panicked. Many were concerned. Many of the parents of those in attendance took to social media to say, as people were scurrying to try to get out, that they encountered locked gates. I've asked County Commissioner Ben Salango to come in to address the situation. Ben, good morning. I've asked you to come in because, let's face it, you're kind of like Mr. Shawnee. This thing was kind of like your whole pet project out there, so you're the de facto spokesperson. Shots were fired 2 blocks away. Police investigation said it's an ongoing investigation. Chief Deputy Joe Crawford on the show yesterday to discuss it. The kids and those in attendance were not in danger, but you can imagine the anxiety from the parents' perspective.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It was terrifying. I mean, and I've seen some of the video footage, and the shots were loud. It was 2 blocks away, but it was very loud, and so the people on the baseball side thought there was an active shooter. It wasn't on the complex, but they heard it, and it was incredibly loud. And, you can hear some of the videos online. But, that we do active shooter drills at Shawnee. Every 6 months we train. But like Mike Tyson said, everybody has a plan to get punched in the face, right? And so we're going back now and evaluating all of it.
So what about the lock gates?
Yeah, there were 2 lock gates. I mean, 100%. So on the soccer side, not on the baseball side, but all the way on the soccer side, near the pitch, which is right outside the swimming pool, there's a locked gate. And then also on the other side, towards West Virginia State, there's a locked gate. So a lot of people, when the people ran from the baseball side into the soccer side, understandably panicked. That forced people over into that corner, and they couldn't get out. And so what we're going to do, we're looking at several different things. There were reasons why some of the gates are locked, but we can implement a new system where it's almost like in the school system where you've got the bar on the door that you push, and after you go through the door, it locks behind you.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be a win-win for us. So people would be able to get out in an emergency, but then folks from the outside couldn't get in. And if we have those bars high enough, we wouldn't have 3-year-olds escaping and running out into the road or anything like that. So it's a balance. We're going to look at that. That's something I think we can do fairly quickly. It's something, honestly, that had not occurred to me or our emergency management folks before. And then the other thing I want to do, I'm going to have more escape exits like that, emergency exits. Because you can run, that's a big facility.
Sure, yeah.
So you can run hundreds of yards and have no exit, no gate, nothing. And so we need to install more of those emergency gates along the back of the park, even over on the grass side, like towards the railroad tracks, towards like the back of West Virginia State, have some additional emergency exits.
All right, so I understand the panic on behalf of the parents.
Sure.
But it is important to remember that this happened basically 2 blocks away. But this was how far was it? Half a mile?
From the locked gate to the, and I don't want to try to minimize anything.
No.
But it's according to Google Earth, it's 0.44 miles. It's almost a half a mile. But they didn't know that. They thought there was a shooter in the park. In fact, the first call that I got said there was a shooter in the park, and this was. And even said that there were bullets ricocheting off of the bleachers. So, one of the things, particularly when you're dealing with long guns, like ARs, AKs, things like that, they're incredibly loud. I was at the shooting range with my AR that morning. They're really loud. And so you've got to make sure, so people, they echo through, and people don't know where the shot is coming from. Mm-hmm. So that's understandable. That's why I think there was the response. The parents did a great job. The coaches did a great job. Our staff did everything that they could possibly do, directing people out. But there's room for improvement, and we're going to make those necessary changes and I want this facility to be safe. I want everybody to feel safe. And we're gonna make some significant improvements.
All right, give me 30 seconds as we close on your message to the parents or grandparents of people that were concerned there.
First, I apologize. I truly do. I mean that in all sincerity. I hate that this happened. I hate that they felt unsafe. I feel I know that they're going through a lot, and we're going to make it better.
All right. Ben, as always, I appreciate you being here. I didn't even get a chance to talk to you about the canvassing yesterday. Canvassing going on.
It went fine. Vera McCormick did a great job. We're good.
All right. And now the search is on for county commissioner.
That's right.
All right. And we'll talk about that next time we're here. County Commissioner Ben Salango, I appreciate you being here. Appreciate you taking time in your schedule to stop by, man. The Dave Allen Show and 580 Live brought to you in part by Huston's Pizza. This month is your favorite Huston's. Get a large 18-inch pepperoni pizza and an order of cinnamon bites with icing, only $20.99 at your favorite Huston's location. My producer was Ryan Nicholson. Also, thank you to Debra, Rusnak, and Kris Warner and Brad McElhinny for stopping by. Follow the news of the day, WVMetroNews.com and WCHSNetwork.com, and be sure and download the all-new Metro News TV app and get ready for the state softball tournament. See you tomorrow. Till then, have fun and love somebody.
WCHS AM, 96.5 FM Charleston, 104.5 Cross Lanes, a WVRC media station. We're proud to live here too.